The first time that I ever got involved with advocacy was back in 2015 after the death of Freddie Gray. I'm from Maryland, and at the time, me and a few other students of color from my high school started to interview each other and post our words and reflections about what happened to Freddie Gray on the internet, on social media. At the same time, a lot of the student population in my high school were very much against the Black Lives Matter movement, which had just started in 2014 and associated it with violent protests and riots and looting. And at least in my opinion, I feel like they failed to see the bigger issue of racial injustice. And I think especially nowadays in this post-George Floyd, post-pandemic world, it's so important for schools to start teaching students about these things. This was really missing from our curriculum and led to a lot of arguments at the time about whether it's right to protest, whether it's wrong to protest, instead of arguments and conversations about these larger issues that needed to be addressed. I was admitted into Yale University for college, and while at Yale, I majored in history, specifically the history of social change and social movements. And this was really, really helpful and useful for me in the work that I do now as an online educator.
Cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. Well, in my opinion, it isn't really a line, it's more of a spectrum.
Talking about these topics that I knew about in high school but couldn't adequately maybe talk about or discuss or explain back then, but now I can. And if I had any advice to anyone who wants to be a change maker, I think it's very important for them to learn about the history of these problems, because I think once you diagnose why these problems exist in the first place, then you're just that much closer to finding an adequate solution to them.